Hey, Tim Ryan here from Sprout Video. What if your next product launch didn't just make noise, but actually drove sales? Today, we sit down with Autumn Manning, serial founder, venture capitalist, and CEO of Faana, to learn how to ensure your next product launch is a home run. We learn how founders can use video to better connect with customers, to engage employees, and to increase sales velocity. And we discuss lessons learned from Autumn's time at YouEarnedIt, with helpful tips on when to scale, choosing the right marketing channels, and ways to avoid the marketing money trap. All right, let's dive in. Autumn Manning, welcome.
Thank you.
You're in the middle of launching something pretty big, and I'm wondering if you could give just a quick snapshot of what you're working on right now.
Yes, I'm working on Faana. We're introducing a new workforce transformation and leadership excellence solution to the market. At Faana, we're solving something really big. It's something that a lot of leaders don't understand that is costing them a lot of time, money, and opportunity. When you look at where we are today versus, let's just say pre-COVID, all bets are off. Operating procedures, operating best practices, frameworks, how we engage, how we show up at work has completely changed. And so the tools, technologies, the way we show up as leaders, the way we build cultures in a hybrid world needs to change. And so that's what we're going to be doing at Faana.
Very cool. And, what you're in the middle of right now, bringing something new to market, is perfectly relevant to what we're about to talk about today. And so that leads to my next question. Do you remember one of your first product launches, the first time you brought something to market? And how did that feel when you had that first customer activate?
One of the most recent places, YouEarnedIt, the feeling of getting in front of the customer and spending a lot of time just immersed in them. What do they need? What's working? What's not? Being able to really look at how a customer accepts an offer or just kind of, just bristles a little bit, doesn't give you exactly what you think they should if you've done your job well. And so I remember the first time we got can you send me that order form? Oh, man. I mean, because, that's the first time you do a lot of work for those words, a lot of work for a customer to just accept the offer with no friction. After 6 months of just every day, all day, just getting in front of the customer, being able to just see the real reaction to something you build and you've put a lot of heart and soul into. And so even the messaging and positioning is really part of the product offer. There's no friction by the time they say, send me the order form. So I remember that. And man, we're close to that at Faana, and it's really exciting.
That is very exciting and validating.
Yeah.
And send me the order form. That should be like a poster or a t-shirt. Send me the order form. That's it.
Yeah.
When we think about bringing a new product or feature to market, how important is that type of momentum in the eyes of employees, in the eyes of customers, in the eyes of investors?
It is critical for the inside team, anyone who's working on any part of getting the new product lifted. And just that, just the lift, it sounds so simple, send me the order form, the first order form. It is really hard. There's just hundreds of just tiny adaptations to get to that point. And so bringing the team along is really, really important. If you're not careful, though, you can get caught up in engaging the wrong audience while you're trying to get that momentum. And you got to focus inside. You got to focus on the team. You got to keep them informed. You got to keep them believing that something's about to happen.
Mm-hmm.
If you've done all the work well, you built a product that fits and kind of a snug fit to a real pain and a real problem. When you are about to get your first paid client, it is that just breaks the seal for a lot of momentum. Then you can kind of start thinking about, okay, how do we engage more external audiences? How do we keep investors updated? How do we help them see what we've seen on the inside for a really long time? It's a very magical time of building a company, and it's hard.
Well, I know as a marketer, having new features, new product announcements, it gives me something to work with. And it's exciting because it's just another story that we can share with the world. And for me, getting that first person to click on a blog post or to watch a video and then convert into a paying customer is just what like fuels.
You reminded me of why it's really, really key to have a killer product marketer at that stage. How you send the most authentic message out and keep that authentic message going. Video is one of those ways that just helps you really be authentic and speedy enough. You have to like get those creative juices going again and like force yourself to think outside of the systems and structures you built in before. And that's what a great, I think, product marketer and marketing team can help you do too. Just expressing it authentically.
Yeah, and authenticity seems to be the name of the game. Maybe it's always been that way, but what I'm seeing now, especially with the volume of AI taking over a lot of different things, when it comes to digital marketing and building brand awareness and trying to generate leads, the game's changing very quickly right before our eyes. And so what I'm finding are a few things that are working so far in 2025, and that is authentic messaging.
Mm.
CEOs who are comfortable getting on camera or spending time on LinkedIn or building connections within a community.
Mm.
And also, there's the traditional kind of approach to content marketing with blog posts, videos. But now I'm finding it more and more important than ever to engage in communities. And so like within Reddit, within Quora, within online forums on LinkedIn, and even groups within Facebook. So it's really evolving. Maybe this has always been the case, but I'm really finding this is how we're getting more connected with our audience today.
I agree. Authenticity is the name of the game. I think it always has been. And, I've had the pleasure of working with you in the past. And you were always great at that, at actually finding those sub communities. Stop. It makes a lot of sense. It's like go straight to the source. And if you can cut out the distance between what you need to say and who you think might want to hear it, going more local, if you will, always, in my opinion, works. What does local look like right now? And it's weird figuring that out and figuring out how to show up with authenticity of voice in a world with AI. And so I think it's always been the name of the game. You just have to step back from all the noise and focus on first principle actions. And connection is always one of those first principle. Like you can't go wrong if you try to directly connect. If you're just smart about finding your people, I think authentic brands and authentic products will grow a lot faster today.
I'm curious if that would apply to the ideal customer profile, ICP. Is that kind of what you mean by going local? Like really understanding who are your buyers and then finding ways to connect with them?
When you live in a world where there is amazing marketing and you get an onslaught of like all the things you should be doing to market in 2025, the reality is it makes it harder to find the right customer if you're falling into that ocean of activity, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I do mean finding the right customer, because at the end of the day, and I do this a lot, I'll like close my eyes and I'll go, what do I imagine the right customer's doing right now? Like, where are they standing? Where are they sitting? What do they wake up and worry about? How do they move throughout their day? What are their problems? And that's the work, is you have to know the customer. You got to walk in their shoes. A lot of times you got to go where they are. You don't do that. You're just kind of over engineering the solution. You're like, oh, these 10 screens. And if we like did this summit and we did all these things, and you're like, or what if I just like sent them a video and said, how does this feel to you? It's like, oh, wait, that's a lot easier. How much can you know that customer, like the behavioral demographics, the psychographics? How do they feel? How do they sleep? How do they dream? What's their pain and problem? What just makes them go, oh, hell yes, that's a thing? That's an option? Like, you just really want to be able to understand the human component if the humans are going to buy your product. When you can like surround the customer, that gave me a really powerful confidence that there's a need. And it felt almost like I couldn't not build something. I couldn't not do something when you can empathize so much with the ideal customer persona.
Okay, so when you think about bringing a new feature, say, or a suite of features to market, and I'm thinking back to your time at YouEarnedIt or maybe Cratejoy or other companies. As an executive, was there kind of a vision you think of when bringing a new suite of features to market?
I wouldn't know who I need to get in front of if I wasn't completely compelled by the vision. If you're stuck in vision too much, though, and you're really attached to how you think you're going to get there, you get in front of personas and you're really closing in and constricting the conversation. So you're missing the opportunity to hear what life's like for them, hear what's going on for them. Because that's like, you want to create a big enough aperture. I don't know if I'm using the right word, to be able to like catch what they're giving you, whatever it is they want to give you. It's almost like I feel it before it clicks in my brain. Like intuitively, they'll say something. I'll go, that feels important. And that's it. There's like no judgment on that. There's nothing I can really do with it other than that was gold. I don't know why it's gold yet, but that feels right. It's just deep research. You're just doing human behavior research, actually, which, if you know more about my background, I'm obsessed with that.
I think it's interesting, just this approach of open-mindedness and listening and being flexible around what you think is right, but then hearing it from actual prospective paying customers to change your mindset a little bit.
A lot of people pick up the literal thing a potential customer says as what should be there. That's oftentimes not the product you need to build. I think great products are built in those little details that you pick up if you're paying attention. You're just giving the humans what they needed, but they didn't know to specifically ask for that most of the time. But you have to build to the need.
You may not have been super close because you were leading a large company, but do you recall some of the key stakeholders that are involved in collaborating as a team to bring a new feature release to market? And what does that team look like?
Lots of conversations with the chief product officer, the engineers, the experienced designers. We weren't small at the time, but I never was disconnected from product strategy or the customer. I was very involved all the time with the conversations on the philosophy and the strategy of the product.
Okay, so let's talk about your personal behavior as a consumer, as a person searching for a solution to a problem. Do you tap into video when looking for an opportunity to solve a problem?
As a consumer, I don't actually trust videos when they're overproduced as much. It doesn't feel like it's connecting me or just speaking directly to me. And I feel like that's what video really helps you do. And video is really helpful to put reality out there, to just capture the moment and capture the authenticity of the question or the details of the feature and then get that out to people. Short form videos, not too overly produced content, but just enough, and just get it out there more and more.
All right, so let's talk about a prior launch, the People Directory. Can you talk a little bit about how video was used for that particular go-to-market campaign and any outcomes that you can remember?
I don't do well until the thing feels authentic. So I don't know if that makes sense, but we did a series of customer interviews. We scheduled a handful each quarter leading up to when we knew it would be full release. And we just invited a bunch of customers. And I actually always led our product release conversations, yes, with the rest of the team, but it really allowed me to, again, authentically express a lot of things that we've been working on and why we think these features will be really helpful, what's behind, like what's the motivation of us putting a people directory in there, but then also having this really interesting insights that comes from that people directory. And we heard from you all. And so here was how we reacted to that. And so it's just a very, and keeping it open conversation. That was one way that we used video. And then we would send that out to other customers who couldn't join to ask them to take a look. If they want to meet with me one-on-one, I want to meet with them. If they want to meet with our head of product, he wants to meet with you. And so it's just being available. And that video just helped us express our genuine desire to deploy something that was going to work.
So we talked about using video to engage with beta customers. And this goes back to what you said earlier. You were learning how they interact with your product before you've released it. And then it requires that need to be flexible so that you can revise things based on their actual experience with it. So kind of another example of better understanding your customers and being flexible to adjust your product, your final product that you offer to the market.
It requires a very adaptive culture to do that too. And I think video actually helps you create that internally so that you can deliver that externally too. The product of the company and the culture has got to be strong and adaptive and open and flexible if you're going to expect your customers to be that way too. And so it does, especially if you're releasing a feature, you might hear something that is not what you expected. So you have to have the mindset and the infrastructure to adapt and pivot fast. Flip it, like listen, consume it, flip it back out. We heard you. Here's what we're doing about it. What do you think now? And it's not a, oh no, it's a, oh, awesome. We would have never known that. And so that's really, again, video just feels to be the only way to do that well, unless you're in front of everyone one-on-one. And of course you can do that. People get customers to buy something. It's hard to get customers to stick around for life. Do I want a quick hit? Do I just want a bunch of stuff coming in? A lot of people do, and that's okay. There's no judgment. I don't want that. What I want is to build something meaningful that lasts. And so that's harder. And I think that's really where video can be used as a powerful tool. We did the same thing in the sales process, though. Video was powerful to express our authentic excitement about working with brands. If the sales team had deals in the pipeline and customers that they've been courting for a long time, and we were trying to call the number, I started recording. I'm like, record yourself telling them how excited you are about us working with them. Or since I can't make it to the last demo, just to let them know, what if we recorded an iPhone video and just said, we're so excited. Sorry, I couldn't make it to that meeting, but Sarah told me all about what you're going to use the product for. We love customers who give us this kind of feedback. That's exactly why we put it on the roadmap. I'm here if you ever need anything. Thank you so much for considering us. That video, we did it for almost every late stage deal. Just greased them through because it was just an authentic expression of our excitement, and it was so low production. It was great.
And really, unfortunately, extremely unique. Like that's not something people do. And think about it on the receiving end, like, wow, I'm hearing from this team. They're thrilled that I'm here. And it's a really great way to start a relationship. So that's really cool. I like that. So we've talked about using video interaction demos to explain the product features to a beta group of users. But now say you've tightened everything up, you're going to market, and how is video used in a go-to-market campaign? Like what are the different ways it can be used?
I look at this as like, it starts really small. Like you might just be using video across a couple channels to a couple customers. That's it. As your confidence grows, I think, and as your audience, I guess, grows, you earn more and more permission to do more creative things with video. But I do think it really always starts really core. Like what are the core places for now? Where we're not just doing so many things and blasting out and doing ads here and doing this and this, because you can get caught in a trap of spending a lot of money, but you're not ready to do that. I tend to think about, have we exhausted all channels, but not in a way that feels exhausting to the customer? Have we communicated well is really the question. Have we communicated well? Because communication is really hard. It's art and science. Selling is art and science because you've got to think about, okay, which channels, cross channels, multi-channel. Okay, cool. That makes sense. But like which channels and what time? Does the time matter? What about email? Oh, wait, if they use email, are they using Outlook still? Because like, what would this look like on Outlook? Is our customer there? And if they're there, what's the most authentic expression of a conversation there? And with Faana, our customers are on really interesting channels, and for better or for worse, they're in all of the channels.
Well, that makes it challenging for marketers because a lot of times we have limited resources and time. And so you've got this checklist of distribution channels for your video or for your blog post or for your email. And you go through that checklist. But from your point of view as a visionary and a leader and executive, it's like, guys, great. distribute it in all these channels, but really try to remember who these customers are and the nuances of how they engage, and to attempt to cater and personalize that campaign to that reality. So I think this is an important lesson for our viewing audience of go-to-market marketers to take into consideration.
You just said something that it just reinforces something about the ICP. But
yes,
if you don't know them, you're going to have a more generic approach to marketing. And if you know them intimately, sometimes you can't even explain in words that you know, but you just know because you feel it, because you've been that customer. But you can't only go on your own experience. That's when you have to get in front of other customers and validate, because just because I feel it doesn't mean the rest of the world feels it. Like, what if my problems aren't their problems? And a lot of times that's the case. And that is a dangerous thing for founders. You have to go through this process always to not prove yourself right, but to find where you might be wrong.
Okay, so looking ahead with Faana, have you thought of how you might use a video to help promote, bring it to market? Do you have an idea of how you might use video?
I have so many ideas on how I might use video. I've actually been capturing a lot of this journey of building on video. It takes courage to use video to share the authentic reality of what it looks like to build anything. And I've been doing that with Faana for a long time, just recording this journey from the beginning. People tend to promote the polished pitch. And I didn't want to do that because that's lonely. I wanted to record that this time and record the journey of having to grow through your own company growth. That's the biggest thing this time was, you have to grow. If you stop growing, you'll feel the pain. And you'll feel the isolation, and you'll feel the lack of results. And sharing that with people, I think, gives other people permission to share their honest journey as well. So that's how I want to share this story this time. And experimenting with, how do you connect in a very deeply disconnected world? How do you connect to your customer, and how do you connect to employees and your colleagues in a world where you're not in the same space? And share the authentic expression of what it looks like to go all in. And I think that's the power of video, is starting to share that story, the reality. I'm connecting to the people I need to be connecting to, our customer, the community. I don't need to broadcast that. I am one-to-one, one to a few, pulling customers in a room and just going, okay, I want to just riff with you for a minute and imagine something like this. And I'm whiteboarding, recording those, by the way.
This gear turns and makes another gear turn. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's really cool that you're capturing this, because there's so much value in that content. And as a content marketer, I see documentary, I see a training series, I see books. Like, there's all kinds of things that this could become. And it's a great discipline to capture it along the way. It's hard to always pull out the camera and remember to press record, but wow, very cool. Yeah. Well, Autumn Manning from Faana, thank you so much for joining us today. This was super insightful. Thanks again. And I'm sure we'll be talking soon.
I had a great time. Thank you very much for letting me tell the story of Faana and reminisce on old products.
And cut.